Hey, everybody, and happy Thursday. Welcome to another edition of Coaching from the Couch. This is your weekly DC Sports edition. I am your host, CWall. Listen, you guys, I'm always so excited and elated to come and talk with you all about DC sports. It's always a blast. Absolutely a major blast. Okay. So as you all are starting to join in on the conversation and get on into the virtual room, you all are probably at home on your couches, or perhaps you're listening in, whatever it may be. This is your time to connect with fellow DC sports fans and talk all things DC sports. Listen, you all know we love it. You know we absolutely love it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Of course, I see the CWall family is already checking in. CWall team member, show moderator, Joy Butler is on. The chaplain of CWall, because, hey, listen, I truly believe in a family that prays together, stays together. So prayer is big in CWall Sports and Entertainment. Mazdak Merrick has joined. Damon, I see you. Absolutely see you. John Adams, Cameron Mingo. Listen, you all want to make sure you are sharing this show with your fellow DC sports loving family and friends. You all want to be sharing the show. You want to like the show. Listen, get everybody on in here. Now, it's not a whole lot going on per se, right? Because what do we know? What do we know? Even when it's quiet in sports, what's happening? We know there's not a dull moment. It's not a dull moment. Not ever. You can't call it. Can you recall a dull moment in DC sports? If you can, tell me when that happened, because I don't remember it. I don't recall ever seeing it. Absolutely see Jeffrey Peterson checking in as always. And while we're all checking in, you all know my favorite girl, my Mama Waller, Mama CWall has checked in. Make sure you all are saying hello to her, because she checks in as well as the rest of the CWall team, to make sure I'm behaving myself and doing what I'm supposed to be doing at all times. And of course, enjoying wonderful, amazing DC sports. So let's get into it, you all. We all checked in. We're tagging our folks in. We're sharing the show. So listen, I'm seeing some other DC sports fans checking in. Janet, it's good to see you this week. We're going to get into some Mystics. Very brief update on the Nats. Cameron Mingo, you asked. I said I wasn't talking about the Wizards, and I'm still not, but we'll just do a brief highlight of the Wizards, and then we'll get into Washington football, because as you all know, today was the last day of training camp. So listen, you all, let's just hop right into it, because there's always so much to discuss. Make sure you all are giving your comments and sending your comments. As you know, any comments or questions, we'll try to address as many as we can. And you may even see your comment pop up on the screen. So make sure it's good. Make sure it's awesome and excellent. Okay? So listen, you all, we have been talking about the return of Elena Deladon for almost 2 years. And guess what, y'all? It happened. It happened on Sunday. It happened. Elena Deladon, EDD herself, returned to the Mystics court. And let me just tell you, when the fans saw her, when they heard her name being called, it was a standing ovation all over the entertainment and sports arena. The crowd erupted erupted, okay? So we're ever so excited to have Elena Deladon back. I absolutely want to show this clip of EDD's post-game interview with ESPN's Holly Rowe. In this interview, you'll hear from Elena Deladon herself, as well as see some of the highlights from her game return back to the court.
Will be with that depth going down the stretch, but Elena Deladon could not have looked better in her debut after 2 years. We'll see how she feels.
She's put on the headsets and she's ready to talk with our Holly Rowe.
Elena Deladon, I can't imagine what the nerves and feelings were like as you stepped onto the court today. What was your pregame like, and you're getting ready to play in the first time for 22 months?
I had that first day of school butterfly feeling. I was super nervous. I even was telling my family, look, I'm nervous, this might not be good. But it was so exciting just to be out here. It's been quite a journey, and it's still a day-to-day thing. So I'm honored that I was able to get out here, compete with my team, and we'll see after the adrenaline wears off how I'm doing, and get ready for the next one.
That first basket you had, I mean, there was some shimmy and shake into that. What did that feel like when you saw it go in?
It definitely felt great, especially for the first shot to go in. It was something I needed to see, but that's, one of my moves that I like to do, and something that, I've been working on in the weight room, and it carried over.
What can you tell us has been the most difficult part getting back on the court after 2 back surgeries, 22 months?
Just being so unsure if the nerve pain is going to take over again. So that's the concern. But just trying to trust the process and know that each day could bring me different feels and vibes, and I'm going to have to go with the flow and trust in my people to get me ready.
You collected your team at the end there and had some words for them. What was important for you to communicate?
That we haven't played together, in all year, basically. We haven't had practices together. So many people have been injured, not just myself. So know that we just competed with a phenomenal team and use that practice to come out the next game and try to get a win.
All right, let's hope the back feels great after the adrenaline wears off. Elena, we'll take whatever we get of you. That was beautiful to watch. Welcome back.
Thank you so much.
We'll be with that.
Listen, 22 months away from the game of basketball, having to go through rehab, having to deal with just the battles of, can I come back? Am I able to come back? Do I want to come back? Having to deal with the jitters. As you all heard EDD share in her post-game interview with Holly Rowe, the nerves, first day of school jitters. I couldn't even imagine. I could not even imagine. Listen, super dope. Everybody is so excited to have her back. So let's hope for, her to continue to progress. Now, with that, as you heard Elena share, even in the post-game interview, so many players have been injured. So many players have been injured, which takes us to our next topic, still on the Mystics. We've been ripping and raving about Mystics center Tina Charles all season long, but she is dealing with a gluteal strain. She's going to be out the next 5 to 3 games. This EDD's return game is where Tina Charles suffered this injury, so we need to get her back. Point blank period. The team needs her back. And I was like, wow, what are the chances? Seriously, what are the odds that as soon as Elena Deladon comes back, Tina Charles, who is having a tremendous season, goes down with an injury? Again, 3 to 5 games potentially out. The Mystics organization has shared they will let us know as appropriate when Tina is set to return, because we need that perfect storm. We absolutely need that perfect storm. So definitely need Tina back for certain. Tonight's game, because there is a game going on tonight. This was last game starters. We're going to still go with this group of starters, this tonight is happening. It's going down now. As you all probably have heard as well, we haven't said much about Emma Messiman. She has decided to not play this season, so we will not see her face on any of these starting rosters pictures as the season continues to go on. So they're going to be down a star in Emma. Right now, down a star with Tina Charles being out dealing with her injury as Elena Deladon is coming back. So right now, the game is going on. Washington Mystics versus the Dallas Wings. We'll see what happens. They're working through injuries. More to come. Absolutely more to come. We're going to move on to the Nets. Make sure you all are tagging your Washington Nationals family and friends into this show. Not much here. It's not much here. I did want to bring it up because I know Victor Robles had been out. There had been so much talk around Lane Thomas and what Lane Thomas was able to do. But in Victor Robles' return tonight, Lane Thomas, center field player, Lane Thomas is back on the bench. He will not start. So I just said, hey, I know that a lot of folks were like, I think we probably all need to just, as we talked about last week, we probably all need to just deal with the fact that this season is over for the Nets. They know it. They know it. But I figured a familiar name, a familiar face returning to the lineup was going to be interesting and potentially fun for everybody. Something of positive kind of, sort of, I guess. Victor Robles is back. Maybe that's not so positive. I don't know. But I figured, hey, look, Victor Robles is back. Maybe we can get a little bit excited about that. You never know, could give them a bit of a spark. But as we talked about last week in depth right here on Coaching from the Couch, the DC Sports edition, the Nats season is over. And it probably will be over next season before it even starts. We're looking at this year and next year of rebuild, 2023, perhaps some excitement there. So we shall see more to come there. Nats updates will be far and few between depending on how things are going, because we're getting into, what I'm about to say, we're getting into football season, absolutely getting into basketball season. So really quick going into basketball season. This season schedule for the Washington Wizards is out. We're not going to get into the season schedule tonight. We're not going to do a breakdown of the season schedule tonight. We will do a breakdown of the season schedule as we get closer to the season and officially ensure these players are going to be healthy and ready to go. Training camp is a success. So as we get a little closer to the season, we'll do a bit of a breakdown of what's happening and what's to come, where the interesting stretches will be for the team. So if you have not already checked out the Wizards schedule, make sure you go to the Wizards site. They already have done a few breakdowns of the schedule. So you all want to make sure you're going to the Wizards site and getting their information, as well as checking back in here on Coaching from the Couch. And of course, the Triple W as well. I got to shout out my girls from the Triple W. So make sure you're subscribed to the Triple W YouTube channel if you haven't already, because we're coming out blazing come Wizard season. So make sure you all are tuned into that. Of course, tuned in to Coaching from the Couch, as you all always do. And then we'll be ready for the Wizard season once that comes. But you all know. You all already know. Guess what you know? It's football season, y'all. It's football season. And I share with so many people that, and I feel strongly about this, it doesn't matter what the Washington football team's record is. I can assure you that Washington football fans want to be in full effect. Now, Washington football fans might be mad a lot of the time, might be really upset often. But hey, Washington football fans don't go away. And I share that in love and just in knowledge from the fan perspective, as also from the media perspective. Because now we've seen the Mystics, we've seen the Caps, we've seen the Nationals all bring championships to this city. I really think the Wizards going to have to make a move. The Wizards are really going to have to make a move in order to be relevant around here. Seriously. Because you're dealing in an area like Washington, D.C., that's somewhat of a melting pot. Not everyone who is going to the games and making the investments and season tickets and all of that are native Washingtonians. They're not necessarily from this area, right? So I'm telling folks like, hey, listen, the Wizards going to have to be on the come up, because the only other team that hasn't had, the Wizards haven't had a championship in 40 years. So they need to do something about that. At least the Washington football team had a championship in the 90s, early 90s, but 90s nonetheless. So the Wizards are going to have to make a move. They're going to have to make a strong move to stay relevant as a sports team. Seriously, I'm being honest. I tell people this all the time. We have this conversation all the time. And that's why when it's certain times of the year, you all know on Culture from the Couch, we do what? We talk about Washington football all year long. Very rare, maybe one or two times where Washington football is not a topic on the show. You have to talk about Washington football because, as you all are saying, Joy put it right here in the chat. Washington football fans are loyal. They are going to talk about Washington football all year long. That's why I was like, okay, yes, the Wizard schedule is out, but we're dealing with the last day of training camp today. And the last preseason game coming up on Saturday. And I know you all well enough to know you all do not want to talk about the Wizard schedule today. I know you don't. So we're going to time that in a way where it's most applicable to basketball season and when the triple dub is coming back up. But right now, it's football season, baby. It's football season. It is. And everybody should be thoroughly excited. Thoroughly excited. Now, let me ask you all, have you been checking in on the Washington football training camp updates? Listen, tonight is really the closeout of the Washington football training camp update. Now, we might do another one next week after the final 53 is set. And speaking of the final 53, I hit the wrong picture here. Get your contest. Who is submitting into the contest? We're going to keep running this contest. You all have to get the Fan 53 contest. Submit your best guess at who will make the Washington football team. We're going to keep posting it. We'll post the link. Make sure you are entering your responses. The fan with the most correct responses will absolutely win a special prize. You want to enter into this contest. Trust me when I tell you, definitely enter into the contest. We've had Washington football training camp updates along the way. So if you've been watching, then you should be paying attention to who has been shining. I've been providing the updates. Lake Lewis, Donna Hopkins joined, Rhiannon Walker, Nikki Jabvala, Sam Fortier. All of them are my favorite colleagues. And those are just some of my colleagues in the industry that came onto the Washington football training camp, the Coaching from the Couch, WFT edition, to share their thoughts. If you have missed any of them, I guarantee you want to go back and watch them all so that you can get your clues and get your information so that you can submit into the contest. I'm telling you, you want to enter into this contest. Why not? You ain't nothing to lose. You don't have anything to lose. Nothing at all. So with our remaining time together, let's talk about this, right? So it's a couple things that I want to share with you all. I've been thinking. So before we were saying, in past preseasons, there was 4 preseason games, right? And remember, the last preseason game didn't really matter that much, right? You figure by the end of the 3rd preseason game, they figured out who they want. 4th preseason game, that's just to give other guys an opportunity to showcase themselves, get some film so they could perhaps try out or get picked up via the waiver wire onto another team. This is the last preseason game, but it's the 3rd preseason game. And according to Coach Rivera, they're going to play on Saturday. They're going to play on Saturday. Okay? I'm excited. I know a lot of folks don't like preseason. They say, oh, preseason is boring. Preseason is. Listen, preseason gives the coaches and the fans an opportunity to see what you have. Now, as Mazdak likes to say all the time, you don't want to ball out in preseason because everybody remembers that infamous season when RG3 bought out the entire preseason and Washington football won like 3 games. So this is not that type of thing. But it absolutely gives you an opportunity and a look into what the coaches are looking at and what they are truly considering when they are evaluating the players. I think that's important. And that's why I want to share this clip from today's press conferences. Thought it was really important when Scott Turner is sharing, offensive coordinator Scott Turner is sharing what they're looking for. Now, the question was specifically about the wide receiver core. And I want to talk about that wide receiver room. We got to absolutely talk about that before we sign off for the evening. But I think the feedback and the information that Scott Turner was sharing is applicable to all the positions. Check it out here.
Some of the guys who might be on the borderline of the roster not making it, what are you looking at for out of them?
Yeah, I think the easy thing to say is like guys making plays, but there's a lot more that goes into it than that. Just overall kind of doing things the way that they're supposed to be done. I mean, we're a big believer in process over results. You might get results doing something the wrong way, but that's not a long-term, long-term situation for success. So just looking at guys, running the routes the way we do it. A guy might be getting separation, but for whatever reason, protection or whatever, we're not getting him the ball, so he doesn't get any catches. So just the overall body work, how they approach the game, we're evaluating more than just the games. The games, we've had 3 of them, and though we're playing a lot of guys, so there's limited reps. We see these guys day in and day out in practice and how they conduct themselves. And then the big thing that happens in the games is, see how guys handle it, because the intensity does crank up a little bit. It's not quite the regular season, but, all of a sudden the lights are on and you're in the game setting. There's not any coaches on the field. And some guys, it's a little bit too much for them. So how do they handle, those situations? That's kind of the next test, in a guy when they're coming up.
I thought that was key information that Scott was sharing, because here's why I thought it was key. Because to me, this hints around to the theme that we've been hearing since Ron Rivera has been the head coach of the Washington football team around character, right? And fit, cultural fit in the organization, and how they are in those big moments. As Mazdak has here, and that's true, preseason is tough to judge. Yet it's so critical because this is how they're creating their team for the season. Who is going to help this team win football games? Who is going to get it? who is going to absolutely get it. And had such a great conversation with Sam 48 and others as well. All of the media that joined me during the Washington football team training camp, throughout training camp, is just a wealth of information. And we know earlier this week, we know when cuts first happened. Let me back up to last week. Let's be reminded, Kelvin Harmon, wide receiver, a lot of upside, a lot of excitement around Kelvin Harmon. He was one of the first to get cut. Right? And a lot of folks were shocked by that, feeling like, hey, Kelvin Harmon should have had a chance. He should still be playing on the Washington football team for an opportunity for a roster spot. He should be playing against the Ravens in the Burgundy and Gold on Saturday. He should have made it, but he didn't. Steven Sims Jr., another wide receiver. Now, we kind of saw Steven Sims Jr. coming, especially after preseason game 2. We saw that one on the horizon. We knew that one was close. It was that release was nearby. And so Steven Sims Jr. has since been picked up by the Buffalo Bills. Please be reminded, the head coach of the Buffalo Bills Sean McDermott worked directly with Coach Rivera in the past. So I can almost bet, because we know this is absolutely a results-driven business, but we also know this is a relationship-building business as well. And I can almost bet Coach Rivera, because they liked Steven. They liked him a lot. But he probably put in a good word and said, hey, Buffalo's got a situation going on right now with their wide receivers and COVID protocols. So, hey, you want to try this kid. Give him a shot. And I hope he does well. I genuinely do hope Steven Sims Jr. does well. But this is an opportunity as we look through the rest of that deep wide receiver room. If you all notice, I've been talking about the wide receiver competition the whole entire time, because it's so many. You got so many capable options. Now, the question is, how many wide receivers are they going to go with? I don't know. Nobody knows. This is why this preseason game on Saturday is important. It is important. I want to talk about a wide receiver on the team that sounds like is a lock, but sometimes, y'all, I don't know. And you know that this is actually somebody that I've been rooting in real life for a while, and that's Cam Sims. Cam Sims doesn't always make the play. He does not always catch the football. Did a lot of great things last year. Was completely and totally dependable. Will Cam Sims stamp he's getting a roster spot? I don't know. What do you all think? You all tell me. Put him down on your fan 53 if that's what you think is going to happen. Antonio Gandy Golden. We know that AGG was drafted by this coaching staff, right? Are they going to give him another chance? Does he get another shot this year? I don't know. Nobody knows. Maybe. Should he? Right? Dax Milne has been impressive in camp, has been solid in camp. DeAndre Carter. We've seen DeAndre Carter returning a few punts. Does that stamp his roster spot? How many wide receivers will they go with, and how many even should they? Right? We know that Curtis Samuel has not played that much in the preseason, but we also know that this staff, they know Curtis Samuel very well, and vice versa. So there's no concern there. We know Adam Humphries is almost like the security blanket for Ryan Fitzpatrick. Security blanket. So, hey, Adam Humphries gets to stay, right? Terry, ain't nobody messing with his spot. right? Definitely something to watch. I'm going to tell you all something else that's important to watch. Let's see what happens with this quarterback stuff. We know Ryan Fitzpatrick. The starters are going to play. Ron Rivera done said it. They're going to play. They're going to play. Right? Taylor Heineke at QB2 or Kyle Allen at QB2, because let's go ahead and say and tell the truth. Under the Scott Turner offense, Kyle Allen knows it. And he wants his position back. Let's just go ahead and just put that out there so that everyone is clear on that. It's still a lot that remains to be seen that could happen here. And the defensive back rooms, they're solid. They're solid. But there might be some sad faces come cut day. And cut day is hard. One of the things when, pre-COVID, when all media outlets could basically be out there in person, I will tell you all from experience, cut day started to be very hard. Of course it's hard on the players. Of course, absolutely it's hard on the staff. But even as media, when you start to build real life relationships with these players, seeing folks that you just genuinely like get cut is hard. This is their job. This is their work, right? So you would want everybody to make it for the most part, right? But getting down to 53 is hard. I'm gonna go back to another conversation that has been coming up the whole entire time, the tight end room. Sammy Reyes is a fan favorite. Sammy Reyes is a CWall Sports and Entertainment favorite. He gave us an exclusive interview months before training camp even started, and he is on fire, ready to contribute and play it with this team. But this is also his first NFL games and even tryout. And he has not necessarily been that healthy throughout training camp. So much could happen on Saturday. And folks absolutely need to stamp. You got to pick me on your 53 so that there's no surprises. But we just know, because of how the business is, you have to cut at 53. Now, of course, you can bring some of the players back if they get through the waiver wire. You can bring them back on the practice squad. That's awesome. That's terrific. But I want to see your fan 53. I absolutely want to see your fan 53, y'all. Make sure you are submitting your fan 53 after the preseason game Saturday night. Don't tell anybody I told y'all. But I think we're going to still accept responses and submissions on Sunday. Don't tell anybody I told you, though, okay? Don't tell nobody. That's between us. Listen, again, it's football season, y'all. And let me ask you before we close out, the Washington football team training camp updates, did you enjoy them? Did you enjoy them? Because like I said, Washington football fans, loyal, love any Washington football team content that comes out, because you never know, we may continue to do updates on the Washington football team, so we'll see what happens, right? We'll see what happens. But I absolutely enjoyed doing it. It was really fun. The CWall team enjoyed prepping for it. They had a good time. And that's because it's the Washington football team. So, listen, more to come. This is football season. It's like the best time of the year, actually. I'm actually trying to contain my excitement. However, sometimes I just show it. At any rate, you guys, We have made it through another edition of Coaching from the Couch. This is your DC Sports edition. You all, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, there's more to come because there is absolutely never a dull moment in DC sports. Make sure you guys are liking and loving and sharing this show with your DC sports loving family and friends. And I will see you all soon.